right. Hello, everyone. We are doing our open bar number 82, Last Orders, and you find me tonight in my actual bar in my house rather than in my office, which is a nice little change. It's
Pretty
weird.
beautiful. Look at
I
it go.
know. It's the neon signs. It just puts out a nice vibe, you know. It calms
It
me down when
does.
I'm in here. It's weird actually. For all the times that I've done live streams and stuff, and I've got this sitting here behind me, I never thought like, hey, maybe I should just do some streams from there rather than like my rather boring office. But here we are. So
Hmm.
yeah. Anyway, gives you something nice to look at while we're prattling on this evening.
As we
Um,
do.
we do. We are want to do that, and we have lots to prattle on about tonight. Actually, because there was a bunch of super chats that came in that we couldn't quite get round to the other night. So I'm just going to jump right in. I do remember actually the one where someone just sent like a $2 super chat about Dune 2, just asking us a question about it, and honestly we kept rolling for like 25 minutes just off the back of that.
You never know.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes you get going, you can't stop. But anyway, the first one that we've got is from Mega Spidey Man, who says, "Hey, I just watched Dirty Harry for the first time. Great fun movie, but never realized there was so much nudity in it. To all, what's your favorite Dracula actor and why?" It's got to be a tie between Gary Oldman and Christopher Lee, I think.
Probably just Christopher Lee for me. But to be honest with you, I probably need to check into more Dracula actors. A lot of the ones I'm familiar with are all like newer, like from Van Helsing or Dracula Old. But I mean, I'm familiar with Gary Oldman's Dracula, which is very much a different take.
Yeah, I mean, he had some of the like flamboyancy, I suppose, that you got in like it was taken to the nth degree in Van Helsing, but he kind of had elements of that because wow, like Gary Oldman went 110% on that movie. He
Yeah.
really gave it his all. I was funny. I was thinking about the actor though that was in Van Helsing playing Dracula.
Mhm.
I can't remember his name for the life of me, but I remember he was in Mission Impossible too. And I
He
feel like he was
was.
just one of them guys that was in lots of smaller roles in like the early 2000s and then just
Yeah,
kind of disappeared.
because he was in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as well. He was the bad guy in that, Moriarty,
He was, yeah.
which is
Quite
like,
like,
huh?
yeah. Yeah, it's like, huh, it's you again. Um, not like a super, you know, charismatic leading man type actor, but pretty solid for what he does. I feel like he always turned in a pretty good performance. So,
Richard
yeah, it's kind of a shame.
Roxburgh or Roxborough. I'm not sure if it's pronounced either way, but yeah, you're right. It's just a moment where he popped up a lot. Mission Impossible 2, Moulin Rouge. He was a bad guy in that, I think, as well. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Van Helsing, Stealth. I don't remember that game. Sorry, film with
Yeah,
Jessica
there's
Biel.
Freudian slip there. I do. I mostly remember Jessica Biel being in insanely good shape in it, but um, yeah,
Yeah,
the
and then
movie
you
was meh.
further up you go in like what he's done. It's like, oh, there's Legends of the Guardian. I don't know if anyone the Owls of Gahul. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah, that well-known one.
Hacksaw Ridge. He was in that apparently.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
Okay, that's interesting.
know. I
Yeah.
don't recognize a lot of these. He was in The Crown at some point. That's recently finished, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He was in
That's
Elvis, and that's it. I don't recognize anything else. In a lot of TV shows.
yeah. Well, maybe that was just like some actors have that career trajectory. You know, they sort of
Yeah,
have their moment in Hollywood and then they transition into smaller roles and they sort of find their niche, I guess. But
I think
oh
he might
well.
have been unlucky because he had a significant-ish role in Mission Impossible 2, and then he was the main villain in films that are pretty big, like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Van Helsing are both. If history had been a bit kinder and better and everything, maybe because they were super high budget failures, right? I think both of them.
Yeah, and it's a real shame with Van Helsing actually because I think it really gained a lot of appreciation in the years since its release. Like apparently it did really well on home video, DVD or whatever.
Dude, Van Helsing was $160 million budget.
He did throw a lot into it, to be fair. Like it's
Yeah, they
non-stop
did.
action sequences.
2004. It's like, damn, yeah, they really went all out for that one. They were hoping it would work. I think they wanted to
Yeah.
kick off like a bigger thing, right?
Yeah, it was gonna. Well, they definitely set up a sequel, and I think it was gonna be like a almost like a mini extended universe of different monsters and stuff. But yeah, I think you could have at least had a trilogy out of it, and it would have been a lot of fun. I think you could have done a lot with the Van Helsing character. So shame that we didn't see more of it, and yeah, shame that maybe this actor was a little bit caught in the crossfire of just having two high-profile failures when they tried to launch his career. But I guess them's the breaks.
Did we have you on the Van Helsing EFAP movies? No, we didn't.
No, sadly, I would have liked to have been there.
Well, we can always do it again sometime. Maybe on your
just keep rewatching the same movies.
Yes. You think I'm gonna stop watching Lord of the Rings anytime soon?
That's true. Next one is Michael Whitehead, who says Has Been Hotel pilot on YouTube on Visipop channel, along with the sister show Hell of a Boss. Both are adult animation comedies. The art style alone is worth watching both shows for. All right, cool. Thank you. Timmy04 says, Mahler, thank you for getting Drinker to watch The Hunt. What are your thoughts on Drunk, Another Round?
I need to see it.
That's another Mads Mikkelsen one, isn't it? And it's meant to be great.
The same director, I think? Possibly same writer?
I think so, yeah. Because a lot of the comments on my Hunt review were basically, yeah, I also recommend Another Round. So, yeah, I mean, it involves drinking, so I owe it to myself to watch it, I suppose.
Yeah. I will get around to it, I am sure.
Yeah. Glad that you recommended The Hunt to me, and we literally watched it together so we could chat about it as we went. And it's a great movie. Simon Ho says, Woketard hysteria over Barbie Oscar nominations. It should be a femtard victory for Ugly Betty, and the hot girl gets shamed for being born hot. Well, the problem is Ugly Betty's not all that ugly, so that's a bit of a problem there. Yeah.
Never watched Ugly Betty.
No, I mean I know like the famous transition of like, you know, when you saw how uglified she was meant to be, and then when you saw America Ferrera like, you know, properly made up and stuff without all the glasses and the braces and stuff on, it's like, oh wow, she's actually really beautiful. But yeah, really my thing. Sinami says, Drinker, which days will you be at Megacon? And Mauler, will you wear your mask? I mean, he might, but he's not going to be there. So
yeah, I'll wear the mask, but I'm not actually going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I fly in on the Friday, so I probably won't get there until like Friday evening, and then I'm going to be there Saturday and Sunday. So I will be at, I think the main booth for like where we're all hanging out. I think it's 1072, along with Eric and Gary and Jeremy and a few other people. So I'm going to be doing signings from 3 until 5 p.m. Both days, and other times I guess I'll be at panels and stuff like. People have sent me a whole bunch of messages about this that I'm apparently booked into various panels and stuff, and then I totally forget. So I pretty much just rock up on the day with a bottle of whiskey and be like, okay, where did I go? Just show me what I need to do. Yeah, like going to a panel, I've got no idea what I'm supposed to be talking about. Virtue says, drinks on me, Drinker, for your absolutely Chad kilts. Why, thank you. Sadly, I don't have a kilt on tonight, but I do have like a tartan shirt, so that's something. It was extremely hot and uncomfortable after a while the other night. Nico 40K says, February marks the 50th anniversary of The Punisher, 1974. Any chance of an extra shots of either the 2004 Punisher film or Punisher Warzone? Interesting. Punisher Warzone's meant to be pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I still need to see it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm more familiar with the Thomas Jane Punisher.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was let down by having John Travolta in it. Probably not an amazing choice, but
I don't know if having someone better than him would have like saved it or anything. I don't really know what. It just wasn't that popular, I guess. Because, I don't know. These days, you'd think that would do well at this point, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of death in it.
I guess. Rolf says, greetings, gents. Drinker is looking very dapper this evening. Thank you. Moa, can you please explain the origin of the Bilbo memes from the various EFAPs over the years? I'm going to sit back and relax because this could take a while.
That I'll make it short. That goes back to really early episodes we were covering. Tone Loke, he was reviewing something and it was like goofballish, and then he just randomly cuts to like a slow-mo clip of Bilbo Baggins and says, this feels like butter scraped over too much bread. That like I don't even remember if the name Bilbo Baggins came up on screen, but we just lost our shit laughing. It felt so inappropriate, as was the key to it. As that it just became a meme to just make a quote from Bilbo about everything ever.
Okay.
So anytime you have a chance, you just try and throw it in. And then obviously like Bilbo Bungus or whatever the fuck you want to do,
Yeah.
just change the name.
Bilbonius Bongins or something.
Yeah.
Labs of the Tower Tard says, Drinker, RK, and Disparu should each pound a bottle of Buckfast and go to Universal. The live stream should make enough money to cover bail. I don't even know if you can get Buckfast in America. It feels like it should be illegal there. And Scotland, actually, because it's god-awful stuff.
That's enough reason to make it illegal, yeah.
Next one. ZF Morgs says, did you know that haggis is banned in the US for having ingredients that are unfit for human consumption? Wow, that just shows how much of pussies you Americans are. If you don't eat the internal organs of animals that are banned in most of the world, then you're not a true Scotsman. I think with haggis, it's best just not to think too much about what's in it. Just enjoy the flavor. That's the best way. Derek says, well, at least Greta Gerwig has the title for her Barbie sequel, Barbie, the Patriarchy Strikes Back. Don't give her ideas, she'll do it. Kaylee says, just a couple of bucks for Drinker and Longman. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Carlos Lima says, love you guys. Just wanted to ask if you guys have seen Paul Walker's Running Scared. It's a great movie. What do you think? Have you seen it?
No, I've heard of it a couple of times.
Scared.
Now,
I feel like outside of the Fast and the Furious movies, I just haven't seen Paul Walker in anything.
Pretty much the same,
yeah. Oh, wait, actually, there was one. Fuck, what was it called? It was like him and his brother play a prank on like a truck driver, and the guy ends up being like a homicidal maniac and chases them over and over again.
Is it Running Scared?
No, it was Steve Zahn was in it with him. Hold on. Walker. Yeah. Okay. So what was it called? Joyride. That was it. That was quite fun. I enjoyed that one. You might say I got joy out of that ride.
Oh yeah.
ARM Productions says people are saying that Ryan got all the awards because of sexism. Oh no, Ken was the best partner of the movie. Everyone loved him. I mean, kind of, yeah. Like,
I think so.
It's the only character that I really felt bad for.
I feel like it's the only element of the film that people who loved the film, hated the film, or thought nothing of the film liked. Together, So it's got to say something.
Michael Barry says, Happy Burns Day, Scotty, Welshie, and crew. Welshie! I hope Disney runs with that Toonie the clone and his cat Rufus idea that you guys talked about on Stargrift on Monday. You guys were killing me. Cheers, lads. Toonie the clone.
I remember. Wait, what did we talk about on Stargrift? Sorry.
I hope Disney runs with that Toonie the clone and his cat Rufus idea that you guys talked about on Stargrift.
I make up so much bullshit in all the podcasts I'm a part of that I'm like, right, of course, Toonie and his cat. Like the alien.
Every podcast has now got its own unique lore and history and stuff.
And yes, it's we'll try and get Disney to adapt it into a movie, but I'm not going to promise anything.
Well, we can but hope. Master Malrubius says the name is Drinker, critical drinker, double O drunkard. I like that. I'll go with it. Derek, I thought you were onto something when you suggested that the wokeness in Hollywood was a reaction to Harvey Weinstein. I reckon Trump's 2016 election defeat of Hillary contributed too. I mean, I imagine it was a reaction to both of those things. Like they often talk about Hollywood kind of losing its minds when he was president. And yeah, like how many interviews did people do, some asshole writer or director saying like, well, this villain that's a flumpy demon with like extra dimensional tentacles is actually a metaphor for Trump. It was just bizarre. Everything was just like trying to tie back to things like that, which was just unnecessary. But yeah, I think those two things in tandem didn't do a lot of favors for Hollywood's output. Josh Kelsey gave us $10. Thank you, man. Sonny Close. Godzilla can still fight other monsters, but it needs to play out like an anime fight, not a Rocky movie. Monsters feeling each other out, establishing resource costs, damage, and limitations could be very compelling. I mean, I guess it just depends how you want to structure it, because you'd have to then put a lot of time into like how they, um, I guess how they react to each other and the tactics that they use. Because yeah, there is a tendency to just have them be like, rock'em sock'em robots where they're just constantly punching each other or like grappling. It's
Hmm.
not like hugely entertaining to watch. Um,
I think at
yeah,
this
man. I
point,
guess
we're just starting to realize how complicated it is to continuously make fucking Godzilla films when really the only thing they were running on was kind of like, ain't it nuts? The CG. That's what the
yeah,
Western ones have got. And you're like, yeah, I guess so, but not much anymore.
yeah, basically. And I don't know. I've never liked this concept that he's there to like fight other monsters. Like it's great when he's just this force of destruction. He's almost like a force of nature. The humans are trying to combat. Like I just once you get to the scale of just like two giant monsters fighting each other, the human element kind of vanishes because they're just on the sidelines watching it play out, and there's just not a lot for them to do. So yeah, you kind of lose that human struggle, I suppose. Um, Excuse me. Chris K says, "Is it true that Drinker will be appearing at Megacon?" It is true. I will be there. I'm going to fly out
Ooh.
on Friday. NRG Buster says, "So just to be clear on your opinion of Godzilla, is it that you find the idea of him specifically fighting other monsters stupid, or do you not like giant kaiju battles in general?" Well, I mean, I like the kaiju battles that you got in things like Pacific Rim, but that's like giant robots versus giant monsters, and there's the human struggle element of it. I think the issue is like when you've got Godzilla fighting like Mothra or something like that. The humans just kind of get pushed out of the story, and then you don't really have much to go on apart from giant monster punches giant monster over and over again, and probably a lot of buildings and stuff get flattened. Maybe the Japanese movies are a lot more creative with it. I'm not sure. I can only say that the Western ones that I've seen have been pretty garbage, and they've only got increasingly so over the years.
Well, and it's pretty difficult to rate, like, as we were sort of mentioning, a sense of damage. It's like Godzilla could be blasted and swiped and slashed and bitten over and over and over and over and over again. And then the film could be like, yeah, but he's fine. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I liked about minus one. It's like he actually takes damage. I mean,
Oh,
okay, he
yeah.
regenerates fairly quickly, but at least you can see that things do affect him. Whereas, yeah, when it's him and Kong fighting each other, for example, they're just like punching each other and throwing each other
Yeah, I
against
mean,
buildings and hitting each other with things, and it doesn't really do anything.
we can like it as much for like the memes, but I guess maybe the break here is that we're not dealing with anything substantive, that's all. So we're just like, yep, big monkey punches big lizard. All right.
All we
That's
got.
yeah.
Echo Chamberlain says Brownie must release the lost Mr. Brown stream from yesterday. Oh, why did it get lost? What was in that stream that was so sinister? It had to be hidden.
Ooh.
Maybe we'll never know. Mapel says, any thoughts on someone trying to become a successful novelist without any fame attached to it? Is it actually viable in today's information age? Well, it's pretty damn difficult. I mean, being a YouTuber now and having the platform that I do, it's obviously helped the sales of my books. I was lucky enough I could make a living off what I was doing before, like the books that I'd written and the sales that I was getting. But it's a tough market. It really is, because for every Stephen King or J.K. Rowling, there's going to be thousands upon thousands of wannabe authors who, only sell a few hundred books. They just don't really get anywhere, and it's just the nature of it. There's an element of luck, but you know, there's obviously hard work and there's skill involved, but yeah, there's luck as well. Just getting noticed and getting that initial momentum going. And it's the same deal with things like YouTube. You can plug away for years producing really good content. You just never have a video go viral, and so you don't get noticed in the same way. Your channel doesn't take off in the same way, and
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's a bit of a luck of the draw, I suppose.
By the way, I just found out. I don't know if you know about this. The new Suicide Squad game. You heard about the controversy with this?
Does it involve Batman and Harley Quinn?
Yes. But like, do you know more specifically what the problem is beyond just the headline, so to speak?
What, that she kills Batman? in the game.
Yeah. But so
That's pretty
context would
bad.
be that it's continuity-wise, it's Arkham Batman, meaning he's been in like 4 games that people love, and that this is apparently the end of his road, especially because Kevin Conroy can't voice anything for him in the future, obviously. So this was his final role as well, from what I understand. And he not only is he shot in the head by Harley with a pistol while he's got the cowl on as well, which is an interesting choice. Just makes you wonder, like armor-wise, but. There's that. Also, because people have played the game now, apparently Batman kills Robin in this game as well.
Ooh, those are some interesting choices right there.
I just like, and if someone said like, "How would you kill Batman?" I'm like, not like that. That's
Yeah.
the easy answer to that question. The hard answer is, it'd take me a while to write it, I suppose.
What do they think they're going to gain by doing this? Because you could have found a different voice actor. I mean, okay, it's not ideal, but you can't kill off a character like Batman who's that iconic. That's just crazy.
Well, you should know what's going to happen next if you do something like that.
Oh, don't
But yeah.
worry, we'll find someone. We'll find someone more diverse to replace him. It'll be okay.
Bat Lady.
Yeah. Marine V Lad says January 26th, Happy Australia Day. Wow, cool. Well done, Australia, for existing. Ringalorian says, Drinker and Mauler, I found you a couple of years ago through Nerdrotic and Friday Night Tights. An open bar quickly became my favorite weekly podcast. Oh, thank you. Please accept this small contribution after years of freeloading. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Richard Coots says, got the Regal Unlimited pass, so I'm going to see Madam Web out of morbid curiosity. It's like a bad car wreck. It's horrible, but you can't help but look. I mean, it seems like that, yeah. I do wonder how bad it's going to be. That exposition, man. Jesus. Jacopo Ortolani says, Drinker, have you heard the merry news? Apparently a new diverse and inclusive remake of It's a Wonderful Life is in the works. Yes, I heard that. It's going to focus on the Black experience, apparently, which, yeah, sure, definitely makes sense to me. I mean, if you're going to try and emulate or surpass a movie, good luck making something better than It's a Wonderful Life, like literally considered one of the greatest American movies ever made. Sure, yeah. Good luck with that, guys. See how that plays out for you. Rocca says, hello all, would you rather watch a movie with an irritating activist actor who can truly act in a role, or that same role with an actor who cannot act but stays out of politics? Cheers, gang.
It's the first one for me.
Yeah, I mean, I can still separate the art from the artist, so as annoying as a person might be in real life, if they deliver a great performance, that's fine by me. And particularly if their politics or whatever doesn't like seep into the movie. By all accounts, Mark Hamill seems to be a bit of a dick on social media and just constantly harping on about political stuff, but really loved him in House of Usher, so no issue there. Jack Attack says, hey drinker, I brewed some Scottish style brown ale in my biotech class last week, and I was thinking of you. Nice. Also brewed pale ale, and today we made mozzarella and Monterey Jack cheese. Cheers. Nice. You guys are just knocking it out of the park there. You got beer, you've got the basic ingredients for making a pizza. Perfect.
Beer pizza.
Yeah. Now you're talking. Troy Manser says, I unfortunately got harder than Portland cement when Gal Gadot sang Imagine. Ooh, that was tough.
Yeah.
You could put it on mute, I suppose, and just enjoy the images. Thrill House says, ever seen Timeline? Great cheesy flick with decent time travel. Paul Walker, Gerard Butler, and Billy Connolly. Muller, can you do a Millhouse voice? That was a bit of a weird segue.
Like this, I guess. Like that. I don't know. I can't really do Millhouse.
But yeah, I have seen that actually. I can add that to my list of 2 movies I've seen with Paul Walker that aren't Fast and the Furious movies. And yeah, I remember Billy Connolly in that movie. And I love Billy Connolly, but by God, he was shit in that film. Could not act there at all. But yeah, Timeline, it was very cheesy. Jammy Jam Jars says, "Hi gents, have any of you watched Derry Girls? It's a comedy set in 1990s Derry about high school girls living their lives during the backdrop of the Troubles. Talk about good female characters. The girls are hilarious in it. They are, yeah. I've seen Derry Girls, and it is really fucking funny. And the actresses are great. The comedy's brilliant, and it feels so, I don't know, it just feels so timely. Like, as someone who grew up in that time period in the 90s, man, like they nail it with all the pop songs that are playing, just the fashions, everything. It's like an absolute time warp. These are all like in their 30s, which is weird, but they look like high school, students. It's weird, but yeah, it's a really funny show. I do recommend it. Green Lad says, Drinker and Mauler and Co. 3 things of the last 3 prequels and 3 of the 2010 sequels, Last Jedi, etc. My few, less Jar Jar, less politics, more Luke and battles. What? I guess he's asking us, like, what would we have more or less of?
3 things for the prequels and then 3 things for the sequels?
Yeah.
Also, the dialogue is honestly so important to change in the prequels to save them that simply making it a different language and then just making up the subtitles improves the films dramatically. Because you can dramatically change all of what is being said in each of the scenes, and then a lot of the dialogue is so fucking clunky and weird. And I don't know, I've heard the excuse that it's to try and evoke a particular time or era or something or vibe with the prequels, but I as someone who very much enjoys them, I feel like if we can fix the dialogue, we get real close to making them way better films. So that would apply to all of them, I guess. Is that 3 things for
These
the prequels?
changes, I mean, would these changes involve like being able to go back and literally reshoot bits of it? Because
I guess
like I
so.
would hire a completely different DP for all of the prequels, pretty much. Like all those scenes of people walking slowly down hallways, like when they clearly are just trying to like kill space because they've only got a soundstage to work on. Just all that stuff, I would 100% change.
That's fair.
I don't know, with the sequels, what 3 things could we change? Good lord, do we only
That's one
get
of
3?
those. Yeah, I was gonna say that's what it was. We're gonna have to, no, burn it down.
I wouldn't kill Han. I wouldn't kill Luke. I wouldn't make Luke a complete loser.
Well,
There you go.
almost wouldn't do anything that they did. Like, it's just
Yeah.
almost
We'll just make 3 completely different films. Austin Uhr says, "Hello, gentlemen. Did you hear about Disney's new boldly inclusive remake of It's a Wonderful Life? Truly, these are the best times to be a film lover." Yeah, I mean, like I say, I still can't believe that that's actually going ahead. It's mind-boggling. I think it's going to be an embarrassment to the world of cinema, and it's probably going to get absolutely destroyed. But well, let them do it. I say. Let's see what the market says.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Grumman says, Star Wars Episode 10, Eye of the Rancor. Ooh, now you're talking. That one guy says, the fan edit of Vader versus Obi-Wan in Episode 4 was far superior to anything Disney Plus Star Wars has released. Is that? Like, Scene 37 remake that they did?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
That's pretty good. Pretty impressive for, like, just something that a fan made. Spider335 says, Mauler, sounds like you needed to get the gang together for an EFAP movies for the Star Wars sequels trilogy. Rings of Power would be fun too. I mean, do they even have it in them to do something so mind-bogglingly bad? It's a lot to take on.
It would feel like a quest of visiting an old, enemy that's locked away in prison and sitting down with them and being like, so how's it been?
I feel like with Rise of Skywalker, actually, it would be the first time I've seen it since like 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've rewatched it since I saw it at the cinema.
Why wouldn't
Like when it came.
you? Whenever you think to
I
rewatch the
know.
OT, you think, oh, straight onto the sequels.
It's just like I feel like so many moments of it are seared into my mind that I almost don't need to rewatch it. Space horses on the hull of a star destroyer. They don't know which way is up. Palpatine returns. The dagger. The Death Star. Evil Ray. Like Jesus, the way they fall into quicksand and then somehow fall into a tunnel underneath the sand, like all of these things, just like I'll never forget them because they're so dumb. Like they just broke my brain in a lot of ways.
I love the don't know which way is up is one of the quintessential ways of describing like someone who is just utterly confused or stupid.
Yeah,
You know, and then they did it. They did that. Also,
yeah.
I've unfortunately realized that I thought we still had another hour, but Stargriff's start time's been moved back 1 hour. I guess because it's to do with the Megacon or whatever. So
Oh,
I
right.
may not be able to catch all of these super chats. If you want to maybe blast through a couple, or if you can see any that are related to me, I can try and answer them now.
So what time do you need to jump out at?
In theory, 7.5 minutes.
Wow, okay, let's see if we can finish it in 7.5 minutes.
I don't know about that,
but Elliot Hops says Disney saying somehow Palpatine returned and never elaborating on it is still the most Chad move that they have ever pulled. It was impressive. I will
they did
say
elaborate on it. They said dark magic, cloning, or whatever the hell. And yeah, it made total sense.
Secrets only the Sith know. Bits and Pieces Man says Platoon, in terms of cinematography, where are your views on Titanic? And in regards to practical effects, did you see the film as beautiful? I don't know why that was specifically for Platoon, but I suppose we can answer it. Yeah, the cinematography for Titanic was perfectly excellent.
One of my favorite shots is that hallway, the doors again blasted off and water's just pouring through all different parts as it just cycles through, and then you find out it's all a miniature. It's like, oh, yes. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. And yeah, just the fact that they, mostly it was practical effects. They built like a giant model of the ship and they just were able to sync that. And when they integrated CGI into it, it was pretty seamless. So, man, that's how you do it right, I suppose. I've been asked like before about this, if I think Titanic's a good movie. I've said as a disaster movie, I think it's fantastic. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
John Metcalf says, after Ferrera's victim syndrome monologue in Barbie, the men, we know how to... Sorry, men, we know how to be friends. Jingle from Family Guy played in my head. I love that little skit. A SAG-AFTRA planted nomination if ever I've seen one. Yeah, it's brilliant. Where it's just like two guys like going, oh, nice shirt, thanks. It's like, men, we know how to be friends.
Yeah.
The Flash Git says, Drinker, I've just finished listening to Dark Harvest for the 4th time this week. Damn, man. Excellent work, my friend. Only thing, I wish it was longer. Well,
yeah.
I figured you'd be in favor of that, Mauler.
Sure,
yes. As a writer, you're always under pressure to make the book shorter, and that's what your editors want because it means less pages and less costs. Demaster says, Barbie isn't feminist, it's worse. It's gynocentric. Its equality is like Animal Farm. Men and women are equal, but women are more equal than men. Apparently, yeah. It's weird because it's like, yeah, I get that it's trying to offer up a critique of feminism as well by saying like, even that basically puts unrealistic expectations on women by expecting them to be career women and stuff and make it look easy. But its criticisms are so fucking tame. Whereas it's like basically 2 hours of like shitting on men and everything that they do. So it's like doesn't feel particularly balanced as a movie. Marine Lad says no Margot or Aussie Oscar nominations. Australians are going to riot. Sure, I say go for it. And I literally forget that Margot Robbie is Australian because it's so rare that I actually hear her speaking in a normal accent.
Yeah.
RRTNZ, Go Drinker Team UK, all 4 UK nations represented. I know we did well flying the flag for the UK. Brown Coat says, did Drinker live up to his New Year's resolution and wear pants for this stream? Well, I could have proven one way or the other, but then I think I would have got demonetized. So I didn't want to pull a Gavin McGuinness all over again. So yeah, you'll just have to guess. Rebound says Ryan Gosling's nomination is peak poetic irony. Yeah.
It is pretty funny.
Maximilian Pointle says, thoughts on Reacher Season 2? So I'm a few episodes in so far. I'll repeat what I said the last time when someone asked me. It feels like a slightly inferior copy of Season 1. And by that, I mean, like, the writing's not as on point, the dialogue's not as snappy. Reacher doesn't seem as smart and on the ball as he usually is. And I think the fact that they've diluted him by having, like, his whole criminal investigation team reassembled just kind of takes the focus off him a little bit, which I don't love. But I'll wait to see how it pans out. Peter Gorumbi says Godzilla -1 should have swept the Oscar nominations. This is bullshit. The Oscars are a joke. I mean, we've known that for a long time. I would have liked to have seen a few more nominations for Godzilla -1. It's a shame it only got like one. But it is what it is. Plasma says Godzilla -1 got nominated and passed 100 million worldwide. Talk about a juggernaut. I mean, it's great to see it's done so well financially. X says, if you could join the Scouts in Attack on Titan, would you? Fuck no. I think their mortality rate is like 95%. So nah, I'd probably give that a miss. I'd be in like the MPs, and just like stationed in like the central ring of the city. Take a nice cushy job. Chris says, do you think Spielberg would have had anywhere near as much success without John Williams' music? Also, what's your favorite John Williams score? Good question.
Maybe not as much success, but I don't know. Spielberg is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, he's an okay director, I would say. As for favorite John Williams score, I think it might have to be Indiana Jones.
I mean, I hate to be so generic, but probably Star Wars, Empire, even
specifically. Yeah. We know.
So many songs that are embedded into my brain, almost to the point where I don't even consider them when I think of best like soundtrack. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, well, I mean, everyone knows that one, so I got to say something else.
I actually went to a concert over in Edinburgh just like a week or two ago, and it was in like the Usher Hall, and it was the music of John Williams and Hans Zimmer, like some of their best hits performed by a live orchestra. That was fucking brilliant. It's just, you forget how rousing it is when you hear these things. The other advantage of being in the bar, I can just help myself to whatever's there.
Yeah, we'll see the bottles increase over time. Just
yeah. I'll do a couple more because I know you've got to finish up here. Albert Nada Retro says, during World War II, Japan was to Asia what Germany was to Eastern Europe. Hopefully Barbie wins nothing. I mean, yeah, it's probably gonna, though. That's the sad thing. Sam Wallace Art says, looking forward to any eventual Japanese dub of Oppenheimer. Lots of interesting phrasing and accent decisions that could make the story hit differently. Yeah, I mean, damn, you kind of wonder how Japan's going to adapt to a film like that, because it's not exactly something they'll be keen on. A lot of history with it. But I don't know, man.
And yeah, I do apologize. But on that note, I'm going to have to jump out. It's just a mistake in scheduling I've made. But of course, I would have absolutely loved to have made sure I was here for every question. I am.
Don't worry. Just know that everyone here secretly hates you.
I'm so sorry. I'm already getting roasted on the other end of the fucking internet now.
Yeah. Well, enjoy Stargrift. I hope it works out good, man. And I will catch you on Open Bar on Thursday.
I'll see you there, buddy.
All right. Later. Alrighty, it's just me, it's Drinker, and a wall full of booze. So I'm going to do my best to keep you guys entertained while I go through the remaining super chats. Andrew Lee says, can't wait for Dakota Johnson to say, it's madaming time, and web all over the screen. Truly the most female-led film of all time. I think it's definitely going to be a movie of all time, so I'm very excited about it. Comic Zombie says, I would love to see an Andrew Garfield movie which explores murderer Spider-Man and his return to his roots and his redemption after No Way Home. I thought the idea of him going off the deep end after Gwen's death was very interesting. Yes, I agree. Would have been cool things to see. And it does make me think, oh man, I almost wish we got Amazing Spider-Man 3, but maybe they just weren't in the position to be able to produce something that good at that point. Yeah, man, I hope they do something more with Andrew Garfield. He seems to be up for it. He seems to be up for doing more of these Spider-Man movies. He's still young enough that he can carry on almost like nothing happened. Like he's still got the look as he did before. So hey, if he's up for it, then sure. Probably one of the few comic book movies that I would actually be interested in seeing at this point. OMG Puppies said, Stone Tossie's cartoon. Wow, the multiverse has a female Spider-Man. Wow, there's a black Spider-Man. In the last frame, a portal opens and a Spider-Man with Confederate flag uniform begins to emerge. Yeah, they ain't never going to show that. David Morris says, thoughts on Father Ted? It's fantastic. It's one of the best Irish comedies that's ever been made. Brilliantly funny, really sharp, really witty, and not afraid to tackle difficult issues in a really funny way. So, yeah, it's a great show, and I'd recommend it to anyone. Senior Hones says, "Happy 82nd anniversary!" Thank you, sir. Can we get a Blue Mountain State live stream? Definitely Alan Ritchson's best performance. Well, there you go. I'll see what I can cover. I need to see. I'm interested to see more of Alan Ritchson now that he's kind of establishing himself as an action hero. Obviously, he's got the size, he's got the look, he's got the acting chops. So I want to see him do more. Even be like beyond Reacher. I wanted to see him do more action stuff. Spirits X says, "Have you chaps seen the Roadhouse remake trailer? Thoughts?" Yeah, I have seen it. It looks okay. I'm not sure about Conor McGregor as the antagonist because his acting's a bit like that. But overall, they seem to have kept the tone somewhat, and Gyllenhaal looks pretty good in the role. So I'll reserve judgment. Maybe they haven't totally fucked this one up. We'll see. Narrative Arcade says, "Hi Drinker, you and the Friday Night Sites crew inspired me to launch my own channel. I'm a screenwriter and editor. I break down all sorts of stories, including video games. My Ryan Johnson video will make you laugh." Well, there we go. Narrative Arcade. I might give that a look. Thanks, man. TL1524 says, "I mean, the Roadhouse trailer came out today." It did, yes. Rick's Mace says, "Bendy wins." Okay. Stuart Easton, "The new He-Man show is out, Drinker. Are you in?" I think I'm going to sit this one out after the first season. Like, what was it? Masters of the Universe Revelation. I was done, man. It was so depressing and crap. I just don't want to see any more of that. Superfly says, "Can I vent about something that's way off topic?" Sure. Palworld is way more like Ark Survival Evolved. It's not killing Pokemon. If you like it, great, but it's 80% Ark, 10% Pokemon, and 10% its own concepts. You know what? I will take your word for that because I know precisely fuck all about Palworld, except that it seems to have generated a lot of controversy recently. Sam Wallace Art says, "Just adapt the IP faithfully, respect the characters, and listen to the fandom, and your show will get positive word of mouth." Bezos, confused. "So the viewers just appear out of nowhere." That's it. I mean, make good stuff. People will come. Marine V Lad says, "Drinker, I heard on last bar super chat of Kiefer's 24. A great show. They don't make them like they used to. Top 3 seasons. Mine are seasons 5, 8, and 50-50 on seasons 1 and 4. Oh, good question. I feel like season 1, they were still a little bit rough. They hadn't got the budget there quite. I loved season 2. That may be my favorite. And then I think it was season 4 when they had the bioterrorism plot. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, it's been a while. I've seen all the seasons, but like we're now talking like 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago for all of them. So it has been a while. Odd Stone says, "How does the panel feel about sex and nudity in shows and movies? Are they necessary, or should media try to avoid it as much as possible?" No, I'm fully in favor of that. No, I think generally, particularly if it's a mature show, it's like an action thriller or something like that, or even things like Game of Thrones, like they can throw nudity in pretty effectively, and as long as it achieves some kind of aim rather than just like titillation, then I'm fine with it. Like it shouldn't be something that you need to shy away from. John Thomas says, "They can't make season 2 of Rings of Prime worse. Despot, are we just going to ignore 2 seasons of Wheel of Prime? That craptastic abomination was way more destructive to lore." Yeah, I mean, people had been at me to watch Wheel of Time, but the thing is, I hadn't read the book, so I didn't have anything to compare it to. By all accounts, though, it's garbage, so I don't feel particularly compelled to watch it, if I'm honest. Andrew Nelson says, "Hey Drinker, speaking of fantasy stories like the Rings of Power, you should check out Freer Beyond Journey's End." Yeah, a lot of people recommended that. Abdiel Garza says, "Cheers, Drinker. Just wanted to ask if you've seen Cyberpunk Edgerunners." Yes, I have. I would put it on the same scale as Blue Eye Samurai. It is a really good show. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't get more attention. I was kind of getting arcane vibes off it. But yeah, really good, well constructed characters, good narrative, pretty mature stuff as well. So yeah, I guess a thumbs up for me for sure. I don't know why I never covered it back in the day, actually. Shaker Silver says, you guys may not be excited for Rings of Power Season 2, but I bet you'll be interested in Warner Brothers' new Lord of the Rings movies. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I mean, we've got War of the Rohirrim coming, but that's like an animated show. As for new movies, I don't know what they're going to produce, but I'm slightly worried because this is not the early 2000s anymore, and the environment has changed, the market has changed, and I'm worried that it's just going to be more Rings of Power style garbage. Puck says, Drinker, happy Burns night. Thank you. We ordered haggis and made tatties and neeps. Haggis in the States is not as good as the one that we had in Scotland's. Yeah, I mean, as someone mentioned earlier, it's basically illegal in the States. So I don't know how you were able to get it, but I respect you for doing it, man. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a little nip of whiskey to go with it. So cheers. I'll have some. It's Balvenie. Nice. Rays says, the way Platoon described the lore in comparison to Rings of Power is the same way I feel about the movies. As good as they are, they could have been way better if they were more accurate. Cheers. I mean, are we talking Lord of the Rings movies? Like they were pretty close, man. The differences that they made, the decisions that they made to change things here and there, I totally understand from a cinema point of view. Yeah, I never had an issue with how accurate they were. Ian Soforth says, some hay meat and canny eat, and some hay jobs at Disney. Yeah. Let us then be thankful that we don't work at Disney. OMG Puppies says, speaking of possible Doctor Who actors, there were rumors of Helen Mirren might play the Doctor. As a female Doctor, that would have been cool, but only with good writing, of course. Yeah, there's no fucking way they would get Helen Mirren on board. She is way too good for that. But yeah, if we were living in some kind of crazy fantasy land where you could just get any actor you want, she would be a great choice to play a female Doctor. You want someone who's a bit older, a bit more mature, who's as much as the Doctor should have a sort of fatherly, paternal air about him. Well, I guess you're going to get the opposite from Helen Mirren. But she's a character that you would, I don't know, she's an actress, I suppose, that you would just you would be kind of entranced by on screen, playing a character like that. She would be a good fit for it. So it's never going to happen, but it would have been cool. Trigon says, Little Platoon, could you do a live stream with random movie talk on whatever subject? I'm sure it would make for an interesting conversation. Well, there we go. The Jimmy Turner says, Production Hell, a Star Wars story. Yeah, the whole of Disney Star Wars. That would make for a brilliant production hell. It would have to be about 5 hours long, though. Big Hat Legion says, someday I will emulate the Poe toaster by leaving a copy of DS2 by Mahler's grave every year. Stacey Barrera, loved women talking. Looking forward to the sequel, women blaming each other, and the riveting trilogy finale, women asking men to open jars. Well, it might happen. Sam Wallace Arts. Hudson Hawk is my underrated favorite. Bruce Willis is a burglar roped into a Vatican mega heist. Full ham-on for Richard E. Grant as the villain. Movie has the tone of a live-action Looney Tunes story. Yeah, the story of how Hudson Hawk was made was absolutely bonkers. It was like they were given the opportunity to make a movie, but they had no idea what they wanted to make. And so they constantly fluctuated between different ideas. Was it going to be serious? Was it going to be goofy and ridiculous? Bruce Willis didn't seem to know what he wanted to get out of it. They were improvising things on the day of shooting. It was a nightmare of a film to make. And, well, it's reflected in what you see on screen. It's not a film I go back to very often, put it that way. John Thomas says, Bezos ruining the relationship with his son over Rings of Prime is justice. Yep, there must have been some awkward conversations after that. Don't fuck it up, Dad. Okay, son. Goes and makes Rings of Power. Jay Fraser says, Hail, gents. Of all the Oscar snubs, which is the most egregious? Slumdog Millionaire won Best Picture and The Dark Knight wasn't considered for it. I mean, to be fair, Slumdog was a pretty fucking good movie, so I don't really begrudge it that. I'm trying to remember. Was it The Godfather that missed out on? I'm pretty sure it did. Hold on. So just going to check here. I'm sure it lost out to another movie, and there was a big uproar about it at the time. Right. So for anyone who's watching this, yeah, for anyone who's watching this in retrospect, I'm sorry for the delay as I look this up. Yeah, I'll just which film. Okay, here we go. So, best picture. Oh no, so nominees, winners, best picture. Oh, so it did win get best picture. Which one am I thinking of then? Oh, there was one. Fuck, that's gonna bug me now. No, I might need to come back to that later. Yeah, apologies. It's gone right out of my head, but there was one like back in that time period where it was like it seemed like a shoe-in for best picture and it never won, and it was some shitty like random one that won instead. Um, yeah, sorry, I won't take up any more of your time right now while I try and find it. Mark says, Drinker, when do we hope to see a video on the Bourne Identity films? I believe we're long overdue for one. P.S. I also happen to be a close friend of Robert Ludlum's family. Cheers, mates. Oh, yeah, shilling for him, are you? No, it would be good fun to do them, actually. I don't know if that would be a good EFAP movies arc or something to cover the Bourne movies, but yeah, I mean, I recognize that they were pretty good thrillers, especially for their time. I don't feel compelled to rewatch them very much. I think there's something about the cinematography with them. It's really like weird shaky cam that they had going on, especially during the fight scenes, and it's like almost like off-putting. It gets used so much. Maybe it's just the time that they were made. But yeah, the concept was good, and obviously, like it had staying power because they made like 5 of them. Lawler River says, I am Asperger's, aka high functioning autism. While I am retarded, it has nothing to do with the autism. Nice one, man. The Gourd King says Predator versus Ferrari. Now there's a matchup I would like to see. Flav says start your own Scottish clan, get your own tartan, make a mint on the merch. Thank me later. There you go. I should get my own whiskey as well. Complete the triumvirate. Sweeney04 says, any excitement on Amazon's Fallout TV adaptation? Not for me, really. No. Again, I'll reserve judgment until I've seen it. Maybe it's going to be amazing. You never know. I do like the Fallout universe. I just hope they can capture the tone of it right. Yeah, the warning signs don't. They seem to be there already, but we'll see how it plays out. Shaker Silver says new DC doesn't need to be all serious, but genuine. That is true, yeah. I think obviously it depends on the characters you're working with. If you're going to do a Batman movie, you can't really have a goofy comedy out of it. You're going to have to be serious with that. Jonas M says Marvel and superheroes are so irrelevant. Now, are you going to get back to discussing good movies? Always, I'm always happy to discuss good ones. We just need to get some released, I suppose. Um, that tends to come out more in the summer months. Like you're not going to get too many great films out in January for obvious reasons, but as we go through the year, who knows? We'll hopefully get some good stuff back. Casey Boyd says, Drinker, I get you're busy, but you've got to watch Attack on Titan with subs. There's moments later on that just won't hit as hard. Are you sure? Because sometimes it's nice to be able to get the voice acting immediately. I don't always like to go down that road because I know it's kind of the lazy cheats option if you don't watch it in the original Japanese with subtitles. But I feel like the voice acting is really good when you get the English dubs on Attack on Titan, or at least it has been so far. And so I can totally buy into the emotion of the moment. Like whenever big dramatic scenes are happening, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally fine with this. I'm not getting taken out of it by by dodgy dubbing. But I'll keep it in mind. Azrin says, glad to see you all here, but Platoon, when can we expect some more of your fantastic film breakdowns? Well, hopefully not too long, because obviously Platoon does like long man style videos that are like super long. You know, he's like 3 hours, 4 hours, and they take time to produce, as you can imagine. So he's his work ethic is fucking incredible. You know, he's always available to do open bar. He's got his own weekly live stream. He appears on other people's, and he's producing long form videos pretty regularly. So yeah, I can't fault him on that. Like, blue collar loser, I know you, sir. You've been on my channel many times. My curiosity is getting to me. I have to see -1 in black and white. Would you and Mahler go if you got free tickets? I'm not paying with my app. It's out tonight. I don't. You know, fuck that. I don't need someone to pay for it or it to be free for me to go see it. I guess it's just a question of, would it interest me? Would I want to see it again in black and white? Not sure, because like I say, when a movie was actually filmed with black and white cameras or black and white film, that's one thing. But like when they've just decolorized it, and you're seeing something that's obviously very modern, but just like shot with this like fake black and white, or recolored in fake black and white, I don't know if you get the same effect from it. So I'm not a huge fan of it. I didn't understand why we got that with like the Snyder cut. It just seemed a bit pointlessly artsy and pretentious. So I'm fine with Godzilla as it is, if I'm honest with you. Casey Boyd says, I think Erwin will be Drinker's favorite Attack on Titan character. Well, that's interesting, actually. Yeah. Yeah, like I say, I like Mikasa. Who else? There's the like the crazy scientist lady, and her name always escapes me, but I just love how over the top she is. There's I don't know what it is about that show, but like there's, even when they introduce characters that are probably going to get killed off pretty quickly, they just give them a uniqueness and a personality that they feel like real people. And so when they just get wiped out, you're like, holy shit! It just feels like anyone could die in this show. It's brutal stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's so many of the characters are just so well drawn. They're so like well rounded out. You get so much insight into them as the story progresses. Like, I'm on season 2 now. Like, I can't wait to see where it goes. He also says, just watched The Thing for the first time on Drinker's recommendation, or the Thing, like the horror movie. Awesome film. Can't believe Kurt Russell was only 30 years old in the movie. Yeah, man, people age different back then. It was the beard. He's got the best beard ever in that film. But yeah, brilliant film. He also says, can't believe that Harrison Ford was 47 in The Last Crusade. Again, like, much as Kurt Russell looks older, like Harrison Ford was just, I don't know, he kind of got to about late 30s and then he stopped aging for a good like 20 years, and he could just pull off roles like that with ease. It was uncanny. Yeah, he basically didn't seem to change between Raiders and Last Crusade, and it's like a 10-year gap. OMG Puppies says, my favorite Dune is still the Sci-Fi Channel version, the best Baron, generally true to the book. Great scene with Baron explaining his plan to his nephew just after he tried to assassinate him. Yeah, I can't remember the actor's name. He's a British actor who played the Baron, like Harkonnen. But it's good. Like he's obviously he's big and fat, and like he can carry the sort of menacing aspect of him, but he's not like completely unhinged like he was in the 1980s movie. So it's a good balance. I didn't generally love the Dune miniseries. I think maybe they bit off more than they could chew budget wise, but yeah, I like Stellan Skarsgård version. Put it that way. Excuse me. Lucas Oliveira says, just did a PRK refractive surgery and binging drinkers content for 50 hours straight. The painfully best time of my life. Thank you, sir. Jesus Christ, imagine listening to me for 50 hours. I pity you. I'm sorry that you had to go through it. Get some sleep, though, Jesus. F6 Blue says, hi, gang. I couldn't get into the Dune books. The film was okay. Not excited for the sequel. That's fine. It's not for everyone. It's relatively hard sci-fi. And yeah, the books are very dense in terms of like the world building, the politics, all the different factions and organizations. It's kind of a lot to absorb in one book, and it's not your typical hero narrative, that's for sure. Mozislak says, please compare Oscar Isaac's performance in Star Wars versus his performance in Moon Knight. Oh, wait, who gives a shit? Have some money. That is the correct answer. Thanks, man. Casey Boyd says, do you think Big Trouble in Little China is a little overhyped? I thought it was just a really fun, wonky 80s movie. Some talk like it's a god among movies, but there's not much depth in it opposed to a movie like The Thing. Well, I mean, it's a different movie from The Thing, obviously. That's a film that you're meant to take super seriously. Big Trouble in Little China is a fun, tongue-in-cheek action comedy, supernatural horror, like all these things like mixed together. I think it's so enjoyable because one, you've got Kurt Russell just being absolute Giga Chad mode, but two, not realizing that he's the sidekick in his own movie. It's the classic thing that people have talked about many times with Big Trouble in Little China. It's a neat little narrative switch where like Wang is like the real hero of the story, and Jack Burton is just the sidekick, but he thinks he's the main character. And it's fun. He doesn't realize like where he is in the story, but like he's so confident in himself. And it's neatly paced. It's got a lot of really fun set pieces. I think the story like manages to pack in so much into a relatively short space of time. Like I think it's a nicely structured film. It's brilliantly shot, great cast of actors, and I don't know, man. It's just got like such a fun factor that's hard to pin down, but like I can just happily rewatch it anytime and just have an absolute blast with it. And for me, that's the real hallmark of a great film for me. Marine Lad says, like Dune and Rebel Moon, release 1 year apart or a few. So generally, I'd rather go a year apart to keep the momentum going. I know it's not always possible, but that's my ideal way of doing it. That's why, one of the reasons the Lord of the Rings trilogy was such a great experience was like it was coming out every year, like every December, the next one would be there, and you really, you kept the momentum going, and there was just enough time to build the anticipation for the next one. Casey Boyd says, what do you think of the ending of season 1 of Attack on Titan, Drinker? Will we get a video soon? You may well do, yes. The ending, it felt a bit of a weird cop-out when like the female Titan just like withdraws into a shell when they defeated her. It's like, oh, okay, you clearly want to preserve the character, and now she can do this thing that I've never seen done before. But yeah, overall, I liked it. I like how it took the combined efforts of all the main characters to take her down. She was obviously this massive threat. We still don't know what she wants or why she's working undercover with the humans. So I think it was fine. Yeah, it's set up season 2. There's a lot of intrigue still to go, but there's some decent like resolutions to some of the big conflicts of season 1. Yeah, I like where the show's going. So no major issues so far. Casey also says, just got my Mauler vinyl. Mauler, did you know someone wants $700 for your plushie on eBay? Jesus Christ. So, create scarcity, I suppose. Fake Name says, what's your favorite film to survive a director trying to subvert the source material? Mine is Starship Troopers. Ooh, good choice. That's a very good choice, actually. What would mine be? Probably The Shining, because that's wildly different from the books, but you probably end up with a better movie overall, like based on what I've seen. And shit, man, when I watched Doctor Sleep, I was gutted by how bad that was and how it just bore no relation to the film, and it felt like a weird cash in. Yeah, so I think that The Shining would probably be mine. Like that was successfully subverted. Moses Lack says, I never read the Dune novels. Was Paul described as a twink in the books? Funnily enough, no, they didn't use that specific term, but that's kind of what he is. Sam Wallace Art says, Tony Stark sounds unlikable, but Downey Jr. makes him likable. Chalamet's got no charisma is the problem. Another actor could make it work. I don't think he's got no charisma. It's just he's got a very like boyish, sort of feminine look about him. Like he's not masculine in the way that Robert Downey Jr. is. And it's not like Robert Downey Jr. is a freaking Chad himself, but you at least bought into Tony Stark was a man. You know, he wasn't a boy, and he has charisma. That's a big thing. And they wrote Tony just sympathetically enough that he had flaws, and he wasn't necessarily a heroic, altruistic person when you met him, but he still had some elements of good in him, and those elements come to the fore more and more as he's tested. So I think we gravitate towards flawed heroes who ultimately come good, way more than people who are just heroic and amazing right off the bat, I think. Casey Boyd says, Muller, just letting you know, I will miss the birth of my child for a Steven Seagal EFAP. Get a Space Ice on as a guest for it. That would be fucking brilliant. I need to get Space Ice on Open Bar. I don't know if he ever covers like new stuff or whatever, or if it would just have to be an old thing. But damn, I could do a happy hour with him quite happily. See what I did there. Casey Boyd, thoughts on Chris Farley movies? My favorites are Beverly Hills Ninja and Tommy Boy. Not a huge Farley guy, I suppose. Not a huge Chris Farley aficionado. Not hating him or anything, just not really got around to watching much of his stuff. I'm sorry. Lucas Vronka says, if you're talking about space operas, have you seen Legends of the Galactic Heroes? It's based off a book by Yoshiki Tanaka, animated in 1988 to 97. Cool. Not seen it, but good stuff. That's a hell of a run. Casey Boyd, TLJ, Snyder Cut, a 4-hour slow-mo of Luke drinking green alien city milk. It's probably better than the real TLJ, to be honest with you. And John the Icon says, Warhammer movie. That's it. That's all he said. And to be honest, something that's all you need to say. Yeah, I'm excited for the Warhammer TV show. Hopefully they do it justice, and we'll see what it ends up looking like. But that's the last of the Super Chats, my friends. We are done this evening. Thank you, as always, for sending us so many and being so generous. Hopefully we've answered your questions, and hopefully you got a little bit of entertainment about my lovely bar right here. But for me, for now, from the bar, that's all we've got for today. So go away now.